To do. Tonight we're going to get to know about a group who communicates with the universal language of music. Whether it be a protest or a praise, they express their feelings with the sweet sound of music. It has been said they sing messages, not songs, and they became the most popular singing trio in history. And then they split up. Well, happily they are back together again, and the group is Peter, Paul, and Mary, and here with us tonight are two members of the group, Peter Yarrow and Mary Travers, and let's get to know them. Welcome.
Well, thank you.
With that introduction, the immediate question is, where's Paul, right?
That wasn't going to be the immediate question, but it is a good immediate question. Right, where is Paul?
He's in Maine. And although Mary and I both live in New York now, at a certain point, and that relates to really the period of our, I guess, breaking up or temporary retirement or whatever you would call it, or just leading individual lives for a while, that relates to that. He needs and wants to have a very close relationship to a simple life and to the earth and to trees and to country and his family, and I think that's more important to him than the museums are to me.
Well, his name, actually, since we have opened with Paul, I have heard his name is that nobody calls him Paul except in the context of Peter, Paul, and Mary, that his name is Noel.
Correct.
Do you
it's
call
Noel Paul Stookey.
Right.
Sometimes I call him Noel, sometimes I call him Paul. When we first started working and we were looking for a name, we were all great admirers and devotees of the Weavers. And we thought, oh, that's terrific, but the problem with that name is that if you remove one member and substitute it, it's still the Weavers. And we had been very admirers of a group called Landrix, Hendrix, and Ross, which were a jazz group. And when Annie Ross went back to England, and she was replaced with a woman, Bevan, then it became Landrix, Hendrix, and Bevan. And we rather liked the integrity of that kind of concept, so we decided to call it Peter Noel. So Paul said, well, I have a middle name, Paul. And I said, well, Peter, Paul, and Mary, it's a very euphonic sound, sounds like a folk song. So that sort of was how Peter, Paul, and Mary became the name of the group. And I think Paul was at an age when the scars of having grown up with an odd name, like Noel.
Yes.
It was not so difficult to take his middle name and kind of drop his first name, because I think he'd had a couple of fist fights at some point or another with the name Noel.
Yeah, but at this point it would have been easy for him to drop it altogether and never use it, and nobody would ever even know about Noel. He would be Paul.
But I think as he got older, he realized that Noel was a lovely name and decided to be himself.
All right. Now we know how you got the name of Peter, Paul, and Mary, but how actually did the three of you meet? How did you get together to form the group?
Part of a wonderful period of time in Greenwich Village when people didn't have dollar signs in front of their eyes when they were looking at the stage, and they didn't have dollar signs in their fingers when they were writing songs. There was a sense of an explosion of a new kind of awareness and consciousness that ultimately all of America knew about very well through folk music, and it's becoming very popular and very commercially important. That time when we met in Greenwich Village, we were really congregating on Mary's turf. Mary is a New Yorker who knows the village better than all of us, having been raised there, in fact.
Yes.
So we met, we were there for the similar reasons. It was a creative mecca. It was exciting. I was singing there. I just graduated with a degree in psychology that I never directly used again, but I did. I must say, been indebted to that degree through the years. Noel was there. He was primarily a comedian, and he ran the entertainment at the Gaslight. And Mary was a renowned singer already in our circles because she'd made a record with Pete Seeger. As a matter of fact, 2 records. And her voice, even though she was one of many, is to this day distinguishable. And I used to learn records from those records that she had made. She was only 16 when she made them, but she was a terrific singer then, as she is now, and a very distinctive voice.
Okay, as you are all individually terrific performers, and you all have in the past 8 years that you have been apart pursuing different careers. and all being successful. But what was it that made the mix? How did the three of you actually get together and say, our chemistry is terrific, this works, and Peter, Paul, and Mary, I mean, are going to be stars as you were?
Well, we never thought that we were going to be, at least I never thought we were going to be stars. It was, as I have said many, many times, no one was more surprised than I was, except perhaps my mother. Folk music to me had always been a hobby, something that was so much fun to do, and it had a sense of camaraderie, and there were nice people, and it was fun to do, but I never thought of it as a living. When Peter and Paul and I first started to sing together, we had a terrible time just finding a song we all knew the same version of, because folk music is notorious for having 12 different versions of each song. And but when we finally kind of got a song that we could sing together, it was very apparent to us very early that there was a wonderful blend that happened with the three voices, and that we really liked each other as people, and that we were very fond of each other, and that between the fondness and the blend, that maybe we could do something together. So when we began to work, we were very, very fortunate. Well, show business is a peculiar business. It's part of it is talent, and part of it is luck, and part of it is enthusiasm. We had a lot of enthusiasm, some talent, and a lot of luck. And fortunately, time was on our side, because we had time to develop our talents and make them better. And so it turned out quite well. But I don't think any of us really thought we were going to be the success, in quotes, that we turned out to be.
Yeah, you were and you are, and I'm so glad you're back together again.
Me too.
We have to take a break.
Peter Yarrow, a 5-time Grammy winner who co-founded the hit-making folk and of course a pop trio Peter, Paul and Mary, and co-wrote its memorable Puff the Magic Dragon, has died. He died on Tuesday as a result of bladder-related illness at his New York City home, and at the time he was 86 years old. His daughter Bethany, came out and announced that his father had passed on, and released a statement, saying, "Our fearless dragon, he's tired and has entered the last chapter of his magnificent life. The world knows Peter Yarrow, the iconic folk activist, but the human being behind the legend is every bit as generous, creative, passionate, playful, and wise as his lyrics suggest." This is a legend who was a really talented man. You should go and listen to his music on various music streaming platforms. He's a man who was born on May 31st, 1938 in Brooklyn, Yarrow. He teamed with his Stookey and Mary Travers as Peter, Paul, and Mary. And they rode the folk pop tsunami of the early 60s. And of course, the group scored 6 top 10 singles that culminated with their soul chart topper, the young John Denver penned "Living on Jet Plane." That was in 1969. The trio broke up in 1962, and of course, they actually made their debut with its take on the Peter Seeger Lehigh standard "If I Had a Hammer," and of course, which drove their eponymous Warner Brothers Records debut studio album to spend 7 weeks on top of the Billboard 200 and go double platinum. The single won a pair of Grammys, and of course the group was even, by the way, nominated for the best new artist, losing to Robert Goulet. The group followed that with the 1963 LP, which was, I think, named Moving. It spent 8 weeks at number 2 and followed from the summit by Von Meadows' comedy smash The First Family. He's a man who was really talented, and of course he has influenced and touched lives and careers of so many present-day musicians and of course entertainers. We are sending our deepest condolences to the family, friends, the fans, because this is a legend who will be highly and greatly and deeply missed. Rest in power, King.